What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity and welcome back to another Spooktober video. I don't know if I mentioned this my first time talking about Pokemon, but the first experience I ever really had with Pokemon was playing Pokemon Violet. I didn't grow up playing the Pokemon games, I did not watch the anime, so I'm all getting into that a bit later in life, and I'm having a lot of fun discovering all of the different Pokemon. What I did not know, however, is how fucked up Pokemon actually are, and how scary some of them are. I've always been told that the Pokemon manga is a lot darker than the actual show was, obviously because they were trying to appeal to children, but I'm really curious as to what is actually in that manga. But for now, I'm just going to be telling you the 10 scariest Pokemon that I have found in my research. If you guys really enjoy this video and you have more spooky Pokemon that you'd like me to talk about, please leave them down in the comments below, but for now, here's my list. Number 1 is Phantom, who is a Gen 6 ghost grass type. Essentially, he's a little ghostly dude with kind of a stump for a head. They're extremely cute and they tend to live in quiet forested areas, and they're extremely shy and tend to be very anxious around loud environments. They've even been known to cry when being brought to said environments like cities. The reason for that being that they are created from the spirits of children who become lost and eventually die in the forest. And that kind of makes sense because I guess in a way they'd find comfort in their final resting place. They wouldn't really want to leave it. Also, their final evolution, Trevenant, which are these big scary tree looking guys, are very protective over them. So maybe they were even the trees that were present when these children were passing away. It is crazy how many Pokemon on this list are said to be like the reincarnations of deceased people. And I'm wondering if there's a deeper lore to that. Like, I know there's Arceus, like, that's Pokemon God. I don't know if he has anything to do with that, or it was just a creative choice on the part of the people that make Pokemon. Next is Yamask, which is a Gen 5 ghost type. This is a shadowy Pokemon with large red eyes that has 2 arms but holds a golden mask with a 3rd appendage. And it says that the golden mask that they carry is actually the face of their former human, as in the human dies and then the Pokemon just has to carry around its face. They apparently also retain memories from their former life, sometimes being seen like holding on to these masks and just looking at them and crying. And it's even said that they search the world for people that might recognize their face. Number 3 is Frostlass, which is a Gen 4 ghost ice type. The description says it's a levitating humanoid Pokemon. I'm not really seeing the human part of it, but essentially it's kind of made up of like a hollowed out kimono-shaped torso or body, with a red band around it resembling a Japanese ori or a belt that goes around kimonos. It lives in icy mountains and defends itself from enemies by freezing them to death with its negative 60-degree Fahrenheit breath. And while I say it does this to enemies, it doesn't mean you're safe if it tends to take a liking to you, because Pokemon and people like that it decides it likes will also meet this fate, but then be put into their dens as decorations, kind of. It also feeds on the souls of their deceased victims, saying that it especially enjoys the souls of men that come across them and find them beautiful. And this Pokemon also allegedly comes from the death of a human, apparently originally being created by a very beautiful woman who became lost on an icy frozen mountain and froze to death. Side note, if I get any of these names wrong, please just be kind and correct me in the comments. Number 4 is Araquanid. Araquanid is a Gen 7 water bug type. It's a large spider-like Pokemon with a dark gray body but accents of yellow and green. And around its head, it has this sort of water bubble that encases it. And this water bubble is used for defense and offense. It's known to headbutt smaller Pokemon, sucking it into the water bubble around its head and drowning them. Though it's also able to shoot smaller water bubbles from this bubble around its head and latch them onto farther away targets, also drowning them in the same manner. And after these Pokemon lose consciousness, they are then torn apart by Araquanid's jaws. And mind you, that is the exact wording from several Pokedex entries that I have read. It's mainly said to be a danger to smaller Pokemon, but I don't really believe it because this thing is almost 6 feet tall and 180 pounds. So if this motherfucker wants to kill a person, it will absolutely kill a person. Number 5 is Drifloon, which is a Gen 5 ghost flying type. Now this Pokemon kind of looks like a purple balloon. That's essentially what its body is. Instead of the single string, it has 2 arms with heart-shaped hands on the ends. And a yellow X where its mouth is that kind of looks like tape. So far, it doesn't sound that bad, but apparently the balloon part of its body is not only filled with air, but also the souls of humans and Pokemons alike. And its body also expands as it collects more souls. So I don't know if it just comes across a Pokemon that recently died, or if it's actively seeking out more souls to add to its collection. And that's why if they ever pop, they let out a horrifying screaming sound. And adding on to the already concerning trend that we've seen on this list, it is rumored to be created from reincarnated people. But its anatomy isn't even the most concerning thing about this Pokemon, because apparently Drifloon will seek out children because they just want to hold his hand, which already sounds creepy as fuck. Though there's also a line that says that it dislikes heavy children. And this is because there are rumors that Drifloon will kidnap children and guide them into the afterlife. Number 6 is Banette, which is a Gen 3 ghost type. Banette is a gray doll-like Pokemon with long arms, stubby legs, and a yellow brush-like tail. Its mouth is made up of a sealed zipper that apparently holds in the hatred that it runs on. And if its mouth is ever unzipped, then the hatred and energy that it is powered by will be released. It likes to reside in dumpsters and alleys, actively seeking out the person that originally discarded the doll that it once was before becoming a Pokemon. And I don't even know if this original person that tossed it out is okay, because it also casts curses on people by sticking pins in its own body. So it's not just a regular doll, it is a voodoo doll. However, I do have a sympathetic spot for Banette just because it seems it had a really hard life and it just is upset that it was abandoned. It's said that treating this Pokemon with the love and care that it desires will allow it to release the grudge that it holds and turn it back into a stuffed toy. Also, a very rare cute fact on this list is that Banette will often laugh when it is sleeping, and it's theorized this is because it is dreaming and remembering happier times where it was loved and cared for. Number 7 is Shiinotic, which is a Gen 7 grass fairy type. At first glance, he doesn't look that scary, he's just a little happy mushroom dude. They like to live in dark forests where they often have territorial disputes with parasects. It's able to release flickering spores into the air, which often lure people and Pokemon alike into the forest, eventually causing drowsiness. Shiinotic will then claim its sleeping prey by sucking its victim's energy out through its fingertips. I don't know for sure what kind of energy we're talking about, considering they're already asleep. Does that mean life energy? Apparently, with people and Pokemon that Shiinotic does like, however, it's able to do this in reverse, therefore restoring someone's energy. Number 8, we are going to be talking about Parasect, a Gen 1 bug grass type. Upon first glance, it kind of looks like a weird orange crab-like creature. But the orange bug crab creature, whatever you want to call it, has actually been taken over by the parasitic mushroom on its back that looks like its shell. The true parasite actually has a very small head with pure white eyes, and a segmented body that is mostly covered by the mushroom cap. And this crab-looking Pokemon is little more than a husk as the mushroom parasite drains its nutrients. Number 9 is Chandelure, a Gen 5 ghost fire type. This Pokemon essentially looks like a sentient chandelier, and it prefers living in run-down or abandoned mansions. It hypnotizes victims and opponents by waving around its flames. Though when touched, these flames don't burn people and Pokemon physically. However, it burns away at their spirit. And any spirit that is completely burned away by these flames is damned to wander the mortal realm endlessly, never really resting in peace. Question might be answered elsewhere, but I'm wondering, if a person or Pokemon spirit is burned away while they're still alive, is that body just left as a husk? Or do they still have the rest of their life, but then once they die, they're kind of trapped? And why are these questions I have about something that was originally made for kids? And number 10 is the creepiest in my opinion, Cacturn. It is a Gen 3 Grass Dark type. This Pokemon is essentially a creepy-ass scarecrow, but it's also a cactus, and it's covered in spikes. It lives in very arid, dry deserts and only really becomes active after nightfall when the temperatures of the desert drops to near freezing temperatures, doing this in order to conserve moisture. Essentially, if a weary traveler happens to pass one by, it will begin to follow the traveler at a distance. Anytime the traveler may look back at them, they freeze and pretend they are just an ordinary cactus. Did I mention these things hunt in packs? As in, you could have dozens of them hunting you. You could feel and hear movement all behind you, and all you see are like a dozen cactuses. But you know something is wrong with them. And also, these packs are not because, like, these Pokemon are all friends. They just all decide, like, oh, there's someone over there, let's go. And it gets worse because these human travelers will essentially become so paranoid and exhausted because they're traveling through the desert that they will collapse unconscious, and that's when these things will decide to strike. They all approach at once and begin to attack. Often, the only remains that are left behind are piles of dried bones. So I'm not sure what exactly they do. I'm guessing they eat the traveler, right? Maybe to soak up the moisture that this person has inside of them, since that seems to be a main motivator of their behavior anyways. All of these are horrifying. I don't like the trend that dead people become Pokemons, but that is the creepiest in my opinion because I can visualize it. I feel like I've seen something exactly like that before. Like, imagine being out alone in the fucking desert and you know something's following you, but there's nothing but fucking cactuses. That one's probably going to stay at the top of my list unless somebody comments a really messed up one that I don't already know about. But thank you all again so much for watching and coming back to my channel. Always, I appreciate you all so much. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. It helps get these videos out to other spooky-minded individuals that might want to join our community. And if you have a friend that is a Pokemon fan, please send them my way as well because this will not be the last Pokemon video on my channel. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload. You still want that for the rest of October. Even though spooky season is almost over, I still have a lot planned for you all. And finally, if you want to watch any other of our Spooktober videos from this month, I will be sure to link it at the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!